Servus. Yeah, got her like a simpleton today. It's at that stage where it's not quite long enough, but it's not short. And I look like a backwards Lego figure. But that's another look that we can add to the lookbook. So this is the first review of potentially quite a few. I say potentially because if I can't commit to my own sobriety, how the hell am I going to commit to using my hands too much? How the hell am I going to commit, I was going to say accuse then, commit to a dedicated beer series? So you're going to be seeing a few German Festbiers, Oktoberfest beers. You'll be seeing some UK brewed ones, if I manage to get my hands on them, because at the moment of recording this, or at the time of recording this, even though I think like Verdant, New Barnes, Track have brought their Oktoberfest themed beers out, I don't have the money to pick them up, but I've got a feeling we should be okay. But it is what it is. So not sure when I'm going to actually begin uploading these. Can't really remember like the specific dates when Oktoberfest really kicks off. And I'm going to try and avoid picking up like all of the big six official Oktoberfest beers. Mainly because I've reviewed them loads of times. Some of them are just alright. So how many times can you review a just alright beer when you've reviewed it a few times prior? There's got to be no effort in this. There may be a live stream with the likes of Rob, Jake and all that with these sorts of beers as well. So I'm just going to try and pick them up when I see them. Doesn't necessarily even have to be specifically a beer released for Oktoberfest. If I see anything like fest beer related that some shops might have, I might pick it up because it's just something a little bit different than your bog standard, you know, Helles, lagers, pilsners. Although sometimes some of them are just like very bog standard, yet high quality, like lagers and stuff. But anyway, I've reviewed a hell of a lot of German beer on the channel. So, especially in the early days of the channel, which was about 7 years ago, if not a little bit longer, it was very German centric in terms of the beers that I was picking up and reviewing. But anyway, I digress. So, this is the first beer I'm reviewing from the Lidl Clear box that's just been released. $24.99 for 10 Fest beers, Märzens, that sort of stuff, which very good value, and some ones that you don't really see even in some of the more like independent bottle shops or online retailers. So definitely worth the money. I've had a few of the beers from that box because I've already had them in years gone by, plus started watching or finished watching the Get Back documentary with my younger brother, so I cracked open a few of them, which by the way, up there with one of the best music documentaries of all time. Plus, actually shows that Paul McCartney might have been a bit of a bigger twat than we're led to believe, because there's this like narrative that John Lennon was the destructive one, especially like with his relationship with Yoko Ono, which there are points where, you know, they basically rip the piss out of the couple. But yeah, Paul McCartney didn't come across too well in that documentary, and considering that he helped, well, I think he produced it, or helped add his name attached to it, I'd imagine there was some footage that wouldn't make the final cut. I'm not saying that Pete Jackson was told, you can't show this, you can't show that, you can't show this, but you sort of get that feeling. Not that he didn't, I'm not saying he's a bad person, but do you know what I mean? Plus, George Harrison is just hilarious in it. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Get Back. I know I'm about, is it like 2 years late to the party. I've only just finished the first series of Mandalorian, which was awesome. Can't really give two flying fucks about of the more modern Star Wars content, because that's basically what it is. A lot of it is soulless content. I know a lot of it's like lore based, and you have to basically watch like the Clone Wars animated series to get a lot of the smaller references. But in terms of like mainline Star Wars storylines, I don't give a shit of anything that happens to the main characters after Return of the Jedi. Don't really care too much about their backstories. I just like the fact that it's that sort of side of Star Wars. It's like the smaller characters that I'm really interested in. And I want more bounty hunter related series. Because I find that side of thing a lot more interesting. Even though I think a lot of these stories are adapted from like books and like official lore that has been released over the years since Star Wars was first, you know, on the screens. But I don't give a fuck about the likes of Kylo Ren and like Han Solo, you know, like the backstory of Han Solo and things, and like the backstory of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And mind you, I think the Kenobi series is based after the episodes 1 to 3 or there and thereabouts. I'm not a big expert on Star Wars. My opinion on Star Wars means absolutely fuck all. But yeah, I'm just glad I finally got to watch the first series of Mandalorian. I'm going to look forward to the Book of Boba Fett. All they need to do is, and if anybody from Disney Plus or Disney is watching this, which I'm sure they are, what's the probability of a high-ranking Disney employee watching one of these beer reviews? 1 in about 60 million, I would imagine, if not much, much lower. But yeah, make a Dash Rendar film. Because Shadows of the Empire was a great... I'm not sure if that was adapted from like an original story or the story, but Shadows of the Empire for Nintendo 64 was a great game. Had a good story, and I'd like to see more characters like Dash Rendar. Anyway, Jon Favreau, is it, who wrote Mandalorian? Is it Jon Favreau? Yeah, if you're watching, or anyone from Disney, let's make a Dash Rendar series. Anyway, I digress. What a weird way to introduce the first video of what probably won't end up being a video series. And today we're going over to Kuchlbauer, and this is Gillamoos beer, which is clocking in at 5.6% ABV. Kuchlbauer comes from Ravensburg, and I think this beer is based on, I'm not sure if it's based on an actual historical figure or if it's just part of Bavarian folklore. I did very minimal research, but it is basically, from what I can gather, a fest beer. But really, really nice artwork. I have had a couple of beers from Kuchlbauer. Their wheat beer is very well renowned, but I'm not the biggest fan of wheat beers, as some of you already know, even though there's a Schneider Weissbierbrauer Festbier in the Lidl box, which, by the way, it's far from Lidl. It's fucking heavy. I made the mistake, I said this in the unboxing, which I uploaded the day that I got it. So I think I might have technically been one of the first people to actually do an unboxing of it. For some reason, I didn't realise until a few days later, it uploaded as private, even though I put it scheduled for a couple of hours, so the processing could be of somewhat high quality. But yeah, picked this up, obviously from Lidl, walked straight from work, which is about a 40-minute walk, because I refuse to get a taxi or a bus for such a short distance, plus it helps with the old beer belly. And then got it. And then the walk home is only about 20 minutes. But my God, with the humidity on that evening and the warmth, I was pretty much dead. But, and I'll have to hammer this down, the handle on that Kalea box. The box is worth 25 quid just for that sturdy handle. Anyway, doesn't half cut into your palm of your hand though. But again, I refuse to get a taxi or a bus for such a short journey. Just you fight through the pain and the obesity. And I'm very tempted to pick up another box as well. So I just think it's totally worth it. Especially if you wanted to get into German beer, or if you're a fan of German beer. Plus it's just good if you and your mates chip in for a couple of boxes. You can have yourself a little bit of a mini Oktoberfest, can't you? Because you can get your pretzels, you can get your Maasdam cheese, get some nice, is it Dulwich ham? No, that's Dulwich is a fucking, who's that writer? No, Dulwich is like with whip, I don't know what I'm talking about. Brunswick ham, that's one, not Dulwich. Oh my God, isn't that like a thing on Fallout? Based on... Oh my God, who wrote Cthulhu? Having a nervous breakdown on camera. Well, good. So, beer in a glass then, and of course, had to use one of my favourite glasses. Very rarely used because I've got a terrible habit of smashing glasses. And it's the last one I have. I think I've had about 4 or 5 Augustina glasses. It's always your favourite glasses that get smashed when you're not using them. Mind you, I think I've had a couple break there because I've got my kettle there. And I think the steam like did something to the genetic makeup of the glass. And it literally it was as if I was looking at it, willing it to smash with my mind. I just looked at it because I don't know why I was looking in that direction, and then next thing I just see one of my glasses go psss. And I was like, with all this power. But yeah, anyway, so looking very nice in the glass. It's a little bit more of a slightly amber than a bright gold. Would you say it's a Märzen, or would it be a bit darker for a Märzen? But mind you, I think any sort of like beer that's slightly less golden and dark. I hate this hair at the moment. I've got nothing in it either, because it's just so warm to make an effort. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, really nice amber looking beer. One finger's worth for Whitehead. I'm getting a phone call. Let's give it a sniff. And it's got that sweet, sticky, damp sort of musk to it. A little bit of like an oaty biscuit, like the oat biscuits from IKEA. Other oat biscuits are available. But yeah, it's got a really nice biscuity sweetness to it. Just very tempting. Subtle herbal notes. Like grassiness, wet grass. It smells very, very nice indeed. So let's give it a sip. Cheers. Absolutely spot on. I definitely think it's more on the Märzen side of things because it's got that like biscuity sweetness to it. A little bit of roasted nut character. It's got a little bit more of a rounded body compared to like a Heller's lager, although they're roughly around the same ABVs. 5.6%, yeah, it's pretty standard. You get a really nice grainy, sweet grainy flavour. Finishes a little bit bitter on the back end. But it just gets the job done, doesn't it? And I'm probably going to say very similar tasting notes for other very similar beers over these next few weeks with the ones that I get my hands on. Yeah, definitely get a little bit more of a herbal grassy flavour that lingers. And I don't know if the microphone picked it up, but made a predator croaking sound in my throat there. yeah, it's got like a smoothness to it, which is very, very welcome. Nice gentle carbonation. Yeah, it ticks all the boxes for me. Is it like a massively standout beer? No. Have I had much worse and more boring, uninspired examples of this style? Yes. But yeah, just very, very nice indeed. It's got a little bit more of like a rounded, roasty, sweet flavour, so it's not as like refreshing as a Hellas lager. But I don't really want that when I get a fest beer. I don't want just an already existing beer with a slightly different label. Do you know what I mean? I like it when you can taste and feel a clear difference. But yeah, and the bottle art on this is fantastic as well, isn't it, really? So yeah, that was Kuchlbauer Gillamoos beer. I will put some information in the description for further reading about what this beer is based on and what the story is about. Not sure if I've actually reviewed any of the Kuchlbauer stuff, but if I have, I'll try and remember to put stuff in the description. And yeah, I think I've had about 4 or 5 beers from the box, and I'm very happy with it already. I'm happy enough with it that I would happily pick up another box, especially if there's still any available. If they knock a few quid off, you even more, you know, laughing. But as it stands, if these are still available as this video is uploaded and you stumble across one of the boxes in Lidl, pick it up, get yourself a couple of pretzels from the bakery, or you can get the frozen ones, which unfortunately they didn't have any in stock. Lidl needs to start stocking Nürnberger Wursts a lot more, because that's probably my favourite type of German sausage, oi oi. You know, the grey ones that come in a multi-pack, just wonderful. I know it's not very German, but fry them off, get yourself some like nice muffins, bit of curry ketchup, you're laughing. Best sausage butty you'll have. Unless you don't like that sort of sausage, then you're probably not going to enjoy it. But yeah, very, very nice indeed. Very happy with that. Glad to try a beer that I've not had before. And yeah, I say every time I've reviewed a German beer, I need to pick more German beers up. Not just like German craft. Let's go back to basics. I don't want to just retrace old steps and like get a beer that I've already reviewed countless times. But and with the fact that a lot more obscure beers are now making their way to the UK from lesser known German breweries, because there's a hell of a lot of breweries to pick from, and even some of the lesser seen releases from some of the breweries that we get their beers quite regularly. It's always a welcome thing. Yeah, you're probably not going to get a vastly different drinking experience to what you might have had, you know, a couple of weeks prior, but you're going to get high quality beer, really. And even like the biggest macro German stuff is still going to taste wonderful, you know, like the cheap discounter shop ones, and like Oettinger, which is probably, I think that's like one of the biggest breweries in Germany, and pennies, well, not literally pennies, because I don't think any beer would be a couple of pennies, would it? But very, very cheap. Don't let the cheap price put you off if you do visit Germany. But yeah, and the fact that you can get Augustiner. I'm not sure if like how the inflation and the cost of living has affected Germany. For some reason, I've got a feeling they don't feel it as much as we do. But then again, a lot of it is imposed by greedy supermarkets and things like that for food and utilities. But yeah, very long-winded video. Lovely stuff. I've got one more in the fridge, so I'm probably going to review that after I've had something to eat. Get these videos recorded, put aside, and then when I've decided when I'm going to start releasing them, my left nostril just got blocked then, maybe something related to an undiagnosed illness is occurring. Please, take me now. Take me now. Yeah. So I'll probably do another one, and then I'll just decide when I'm going to upload these and then just do them. Or just completely forget and upload this within the next couple of days. You know what it's like. It's the Oktoberfest season, isn't it? So these beer reviews might as well go up. But yeah. But if you've been subscribed to my channel the last couple of years, you'll know that consistency and quality has taken a back seat. But I do want to make more of an effort because I want to champion really good German lager and German beers in general. Because most of the stuff that I review anyway is like British craft. So I think I'm playing my part with that as well. But this, to me, is sort of like the bread and butter of when I really start to fall in with beer. Fall in love with beer. Anyway, I'll shut up now. You all take care. If you've tried it, let me know your thoughts, opinions down below. And like I said, go to Lidl, see if they've got any more boxes, because they're very, very much worth your time and money. Anyway, cheers. If you tried it, let me know your thoughts, opinions down below, and blah, 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 blah. Cheers.